Okay, welcome back to the Find Your 20 Coaching Insight Show. I'm your host, Mark Silvercrop, and this is the place for you if you're a business owner who's looking to have more focus, more profits, and more time in your business, because this is the place where I share the top insights from recent coaching sessions that I've had with my clients to help you throw out the 80% that's holding you back so you can build a business that you actually love owning and a lifestyle that you're excited about. That's right. If your business was these 5 pieces of homemade fudge, my wife made this fudge. I have to tell you a little story about this fudge real quick. And then actually, if your business was these 5 pieces of fudge, and then I'll tell you the story. We would take one of them out of the bag and we would keep it. And we would take the rest and we would set them aside. We wouldn't throw them away because it's fudge and it's delicious. We would set them aside and we focus on the one that's most important. But I want to tell you a little quick story about this fudge. Fudge is one of my favorite holiday Christmas treats. And it is because it's delicious and it is because I love it. But there's actually a greater reason that I really love it. And that is because every Christmas for my entire life, I'm 38 years old. I just turned 38 yesterday, as when I'm recording this, 38 years old. Every year of my life, up until the last 2 years, my mom made fudge for our family. And as we were growing up, she made fudge with walnuts in it because that's what everybody in our family liked. And as us kids got older and we all got married and had spouses, turns out that my brother and I's wives don't like walnuts. I know, it's weird. I don't know what's going on with them. I'm not sure, where they get this idea, but they don't like walnuts. So my mom would make 2 kinds of fudge. She would make fudge with walnuts and she'd make fudge without walnuts so that everybody could have fudge. And it's one of my favorite memories. I remember every year I'd go, like once I got married, whenever we'd go to my parents' house, like there would be fudge before Christmas. And we'd always take 1 or 2 or 3 pieces. We'd always get in trouble for taking too many. And we enjoyed this fudge. And it was one of the things, like one of my favorite memories of my mom. Now, it's important to say too, my mom didn't spend a lot of time cooking, baking, making food. Like that wasn't what she loved doing. She loved being out with her horses. She loved being outside, doing things, spending time with her horses, training horses, riding horses, all those things. But there was a few things she made. Like, she always made us dinner and stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's not like we ate out all the time. We never ate out. Always made dinner for us. But it wasn't like she had this like love of cooking. Like it wasn't her favorite thing to do. I mean, she told me stories about when she was a kid. If she had the choice between staying in the house and helping her mom cook or going outside with her dad and chasing cows or riding horses or working with the sheep or whatever, she wanted to be doing that. But she loved serving her family. And that's one of the things she did. She always made chocolate chip cookies. She always made fudge at Christmas time. And so I love, like, that's part of my Christmas tradition is fudge. Well, as you may know, if you followed me for any amount of time, my mom passed away in 2021. So last year, my mom didn't make us fudge. This year, she obviously isn't going to make us fudge. But last year, I told my wife, I said, would you please make me fudge? And we went, my sister was home at one point, and so my sister and I were digging through all my mom's drawers and everything else, trying to find her recipe that she used to make fudge. And we joke that, like, my mom, like I said, wasn't like this master chef. So we would joke, it's going to be something easy. Like it's going to be like a simple fudge, like easy, simple fudge, 5-minute fudge or something. And we found the recipe. We dug through all of her drawers and all of her cookbooks and everything. And we found this recipe. And so I gave it to my wife and I said, would you make this fudge for me? And she did. She made the fudge last year. It was delicious. And even more than that, it was just a reminder. It was a reminder of the things that were really important to me. And it was a connection to my mom. I'm going to try really hard not to start crying as I'm telling this story. Well, last week, I was working all weekend and I came in the house and I opened the fridge and there was this pan, this 13x9 pan with a lid on it. And there was a paper on top of it that just said, I love you. And I looked inside and it was fudge. And I pretended that I hadn't seen it because my wife didn't say anything to me or anything. So later when I got in that night, well, before that, my wife texted me and said, did you get in the fridge? I said, yeah, I grabbed some spaghetti or whatever for lunch and just heated it up real quick. Didn't say anything else. Get inside and she's like, I made you something. And that dish was the fudge, and she had made me fudge again. And I told her later that night, I said, I love the fudge. It's so good. I said, thank you for making it. I appreciate it. I said, but you know what? You know, the reason that it matters to me so much is because my mom made it, because my mom always made it, and she's not here to do that anymore. And my wife just looked at me and she goes, I know. That's why I made it. And so that's the story of the fudge. All of that to say, if we had 5 pieces of fudge, we'd focus on the one that's most important. We're not going to throw it away because it's fudge and it's amazing. And I don't know why I told you that story, but I thought it was important. So, anyways, fudge. I love fudge. I love my mom. I miss my mom. But before we get started today, after telling that story, today's featured resource is this book, Magnetic Marketing by Dan S. Kennedy. And I wanted to recommend this book to you because I am really getting into learning and studying and interacting more with Dan Kennedy's work. Years ago, Dan Kennedy's book, The Ultimate Sales Letter. There it is. It's on my shelf. I was given that years ago. Read through it, really liked it, but I've gotten more and more into it. And I just recently, in the Hidden 20 audio mastermind, I actually went through the 10 foundational rules for marketing that Dan Kennedy outlines in this book. And it's outlined in other places too in his work. But this book, the subtitle is How to Attract a Flood of New Customers That Pay, Stay, and Refer. And it's really just his magnetic marketing system. And I highly, highly recommend it. It's a fantastic book. You'll learn so much about marketing, about serving your audience, about attracting clients, and about doing it in a way that's sustainable and that is very, very focused on making sure that you know where the leads are coming from, what it costs you. You'll understand your numbers so that you're not just wasting effort. And as small business owners, it's important for us to do that. We don't have massive marketing budgets. We can't have fluff. We can't have things that aren't tracked, that aren't giving the results that they need to give. And so I highly recommend this book because it's really a great book to focus on for attracting customers and generating revenue in your business. So you can get that book by going to findyour20.com/magnetic marketing book, all one word, magnetic marketing book. And you can go to, that'll take you to Amazon to grab your copy of it. Highly recommend it. It's a fantastic book. And you can see all of my recommended resources at findyour20.com/my best resources. And with that, let's jump right in. I've got 3 things from 3 different conversations I had with clients this past week that I wanted to share with you. I had a ton of conversations with clients and potential clients last week. I feel like I spent my entire week on Zoom. It was crazy, and I've got some good stuff for you because of it. So the first one is I want to encourage you not to over-teach. Not to over-teach. Now, this is an interesting one. This might seem weird because I fully believe that you should give value. I believe you should give value whether you're working with a client or you're working with a prospect. I believe you should give value in your social media and all of those things that you do. Value is important. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I read in Dan Kennedy's, I think it's in the Ultimate Sales Letter, he talks about it. He says, if you don't give any value up front for free, why would anybody buy from you and expect there to be value? So it's important that we give value. That's not what I'm talking about. But I think sometimes some of us can over teach. And I think this happens when we have a heart for teaching or we're a coach, like we want to give and give and give and give, and we want to serve and serve and serve. And sometimes we do that because that's just what we love to do. Sometimes we do it because it's a form of sales aversion. It's a way to avoid asking for the sale, is to keep teaching. Just keep teaching, and sooner or later they're gonna ask me to buy. They might sometimes, but that's not a good strategy. And sometimes we overteach. And I have this one client that I worked with this last week, had her coaching call, and she consistently has told me that a lot of people won't buy from her, but they always love what she taught. And they're always like, oh my goodness, that was amazing. Thank you so much. I've got so much to go home and think through and implement. And I said, if people are saying that to you, that is an indication that you might be overteaching. You might be sharing too much. You might be giving them enough that they're full and they don't want any more. And so they don't have that tension, that buying tension to get the next thing. This is what happens to me when I go to Olive Garden. I load up on minestrone soup because it's my favorite. And I load up on breadsticks because they're my favorite. And then I get my meal, and my chicken Alfredo comes, my chicken fettuccine Alfredo, because that's my favorite. By the way, that's what my wife made me for my birthday, which was awesome. Homemade chicken fettuccine Alfredo. and homemade breadsticks. And I eat all that and I'm full and I need a box to take some of it home. And then what happens? The waiter comes around, the waitress comes around and says, would you like some dessert? No, I'm full. As good as the dessert looks, I am so full, I can't have any more. And if we do that to our clients, they're not going to buy, or our potential clients. If we give them so much that they're full, no matter how good the dessert feels or sounds or looks, they're not going to do it because they're full. They can't take anymore. You've given them so much, you've taught them so much. So you need to be very aware of not over teaching. Be very aware of how much you're teaching. Make sure that you're giving them the what and how the what of what they need to do. Give them the overarching view, the 30,000-foot level, but don't get into the weeds of exactly how to do it. Don't give them so much information that they start saying, oh my goodness, I'm going to go implement this. And then once I implement it, I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back and I'm going to work with you then. Because guess what? Most of the time they don't, because they left. So anytime you hear somebody say, I'm going to go implement this, or I've got enough to think about, or I've got a lot to think about, I would look at your strategy. I would look at your sales strategy and see if you're over teaching. See if there's some things you can take out to make sure you still have that buying tension, to make sure they're still hungry, to use our Olive Garden analogy. Make sure that buying tension is still there, because if you don't, you're going to miss out on sales because you've over taught. Okay, tip number 2. I was in another conversation this last week, and this client of mine kind of said, he goes, well, I kind of fell into working with this certain type of business. And he said, I really like working with them because the bar is so low. He's like, I just do a few things and they're going to get amazing results and they're going to love it and they're going to want to work with me. And he said it almost apologetically. And I think sometimes we feel that way. It's like, this is too easy. It's like shooting fish in a barrel, that analogy. But what I realized was that's what we should all be doing. We should be looking for the low bar. Now, hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that we should give lackluster results, that we should give lackluster service, that we should not do our best. That's not what I'm saying in the least. What I am saying is that sometimes we look for the easy market, we look for the easy customer, the easy potential client, and the easy one is often the same one that everybody else is marketing to, which means that the results, they're going to have a much higher bar. They're going to have a standard because everybody's marketing to them and everybody's promising more, promising more, promising more, promising more. You see this in certain industries. The one where I see it a lot is like in Facebook ads, like on paid advertising. You see all these marketing agencies promising 2 times ROAS, 5 times ROAS, 10 times ROAS, return on ad spend. They promise these crazy results. And so in order to enter that market, you have to promise similar or have another unique promise that you make that's going to allow people that are being marketed to that way to say, okay, that's interesting to me. However, if you can find a market where the bar is not very high, if you can look for where the bar is low, you can provide an amazing service and you can blow their expectations out of the water. And because you blow their expectations out of the water, they're going to want to keep working with you. And you can find others like them that want to keep working with you. And that's what happened with this client. He stumbled across a new sub niche, a new target, a new potential client where the bar was very low. And it wasn't, again, like he's going to do terrible service. He's not going to be lackluster. He's not going to not give his best. But like he said, he goes, I just do this, this, and this. And they're amazed. They think it's awesome. They think it's amazing. They love the results. They're getting results. They're happy with it. And that's what you want to look for. See if there's a place that's not being served. Is there a industry or a niche or a type of client within your industry that isn't being well served, where the bar might not be very high because nobody's looking at them? Now, again, there may be a reason. So you have to be clear and understand that you can help them and it's a viable place to go, that there's enough of them that you can fulfill on your promises, that you understand their business. Those are all important aspects. And that's something, if you and I were talking individually one-on-one as a coach and a client, I would be asking you those questions. But assuming those things are true, look for where the bar is low. Look for where they will be amazed. They will be over the moon ecstatic about you serving them. rather than expecting higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and unrealistic results because everybody's marketing to them. So look for where the bar is low. Don't give low service. Don't only barely climb over the bar, but look for where it's low. Look for where they're not being served. All right. Number 3, I want you to focus on the things that are most important. This is one of the main aspects of my book, Find Your 20, which you can get at findyour20.com/grab your copy, by the way. If you don't have one, go there. I'll send you a free copy, just cover the shipping and handling. But one of the things I talk about in there when we're defining what a 20% task is, the qualifier for that is the tasks that most directly and significantly contribute to revenue. The tasks that most directly and significantly contribute to revenue. And that's what I want to talk about with this one. I was talking to another client, and this client said, the most important thing for me this month is revenue. I need to generate revenue. I need to get some sales. Things are down because of this and this and this. I need to get sales. And then they go on and say, well, I've also got this, which will get some sales down the road. And I've got this, that revamping my podcast and everything. And I pulled them back and I said, okay, we need to focus on the things that are most important. Revenue. Revenue is the number one most important thing right now. It always should be, by the way, not just when things are tough. It always should be the number one thing because it's the lifeblood of your business. If you don't have revenue, nothing else matters. So you always should be focusing on revenue, but especially if revenue's down and things are tight, the number one focus should be revenue. You need to focus on the things that are most important. And I say focus very specifically because all of us know what's most important. All of us know the thing that's going to generate revenue. We know the thing that's going to move the business forward. And then we get sidetracked. We get sidetracked with this or with that, or with a podcast, or with updating our website, or with creating content, or whatever it is. And we forget to focus on the things that are most important. We forget to be laser focused on the things that are most important. We can't lose sight of what's most important. We lose sight of what's most important. We don't focus on that first thing in the morning, first thing in the day, first thing in the week, first thing in the month. If it's not always right in front of us, if it's not crystal clear what is most important, and we don't hold ourselves accountable to that, we won't get those things done. And month after month after month after month will go by without us completing and accomplishing those things that are most important. That's what happens. That is the value, by the way, of having a coach or a mentor or an accountability buddy, is somebody that can hold you accountable to that and say, wait, hold on, you said this was most important. Why aren't you working on this? You said this is most important, but now you're talking about doing this. What's the deal with that? How does that connect to this? And if it doesn't connect to this, why are we doing it? Those are the questions that you have to have with yourself. And it's very, very valuable to have those conversations with somebody else. That is the value of having a coach. That's what I do for my clients. That's one of the things I do for my clients, is help them to remember and to hold themselves accountable to focusing on the things that are most important, focusing on the things that generate revenue in your business. Focus on those things and everything else will take care of itself. Because if you don't focus on the sales and the business doesn't do well and the business closes, it doesn't matter how cool the website looks. It doesn't matter how great the podcast sounds. You have to have sales. It's the lifeblood of your business. Revenue is the lifeblood of your business, and you have to have it. So focus on it first. Focus on what's most important. And don't let yourself be distracted by everything else. So those are my 3 tips for today. Tip number 1 was don't overteach. Tip number 2 was look for where the bar is low. Tip number 3 is focus on the things that are most important. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a member of this podcast community. It's amazing. As a matter of fact, I just hit 500 downloads. Doesn't seem like a ton, maybe, but I'm excited about it because it means that you are listening. It means others like you are listening. It means that I'm being able to share these thoughts with people, and hopefully they're making an impact. So make sure you grab a copy, like I said, of my book, Find Your 20, by going to findyour20.com/grab your copy. Allow you to get a copy of the book. You can get a free copy, totally free. I'll buy the book. You just pay the shipping and handling to get it to you. We'll get it in the mail to you ASAP so that you can go through the process, learn more about it. I can't wait to have you see it and dig into it. It's going to be amazing. You're going to love it. Secondly, if you haven't yet, please please leave a rating and review for the podcast on your preferred podcast app. It helps others find the show. It helps them to get a feel for what the show's about. And like it or not, that's our world. We live in a world of reviews. So if you can leave a rating and review for the podcast, it would mean a great deal to me. And until next time, get out there and chase your 20.